Well, hello, ladies. So excited to have you today. I have one of my friends here, my new friend, Mariana Ruiz. She is all about working with entrepreneurs, helping us grow our business. And one of the reasons why I wanted to have Mariana for this episode is because I am seeing her as like the Facebook ads queen for entrepreneurs that are starting their business or beginning to grow their business and just looking for to make like that investment and understand how to use the Facebook ads, how to get the best for your money. So Mariana, I want to welcome you. How are you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me, Pachi.
Yeah, Mariana, so I love you and I know all these different things about you, but do you mind just telling our peeps a little bit about you, what you do, and why do they need to listen today to everything that we're going to be talking about?
Sure. So I first started my business as a health coach, and then it was very much how you started. Like you started down one path, and then it just kind of led to where you are now.
Yeah.
So without going into like all the details, I was a health coach. People were asking me what I was doing because I was doing that, being a health coach and coaching, growing my coaching practice online.
Mm-hmm.
And had two tiny kids. They were two kids under two. So moms were like, what are you doing? How are you doing this? And you have coaching clients. Like, what is the deal? So I started coaching moms on productivity and growing their business alongside their kids.
Mm-hmm.
And that was an incredible experience. I really felt passionate about helping moms and helping people to really get out there.
Mm-hmm.
And while I was growing that business, I started dabbling into Facebook ads. And I was like, this is so cool. I just absolutely love everything about Facebook ads. I'm an INTJ, which is a personality type. And we're very into numbers and like spreadsheets are my friend. And so while growing that business, I was posting on Facebook groups a lot. And that was the initial strategy that I had used given to me by my coach and really to just start growing my business. And it was working for a very long time, especially when I was a health coach. Like that worked like gangbusters, like in 2014.
Uh-huh.
And then things really, really started to change on Facebook, and the visibility of Facebook groups went down. And I noticed it. Like I said, we love spreadsheets in my business. So I literally have a spreadsheet on every Facebook post with stats, and I saw my numbers not really budging, but I was continuing to invest my time and my staff's resources and energy in Facebook groups. And so I thought, like, something has to give here. And I like really dove into Facebook ads. And then I started to just run them and like really trial and error. Like it's not fancy, it's not beautiful.
Yeah.
And I ended up then, like I was doing pretty good with one campaign that I was running, and I was selling a course on autopilot in the background. I was getting about 25 to $1 leads on my own. That was all on my own. So then I wanted to scale up and do a live launch with that same course. And I ended up hiring a Facebook ads manager to run that launch for me. And he was getting me $4 and $5 and $8 leads. And I was like, hold on, I am actually kind of good at this. And like, that was like one of those pivotal moments, like, hold on a second, like I am actually pretty good at this, and let me see how I can teach other people to do it. So like I said, I made a lot of mistakes in the beginning when I was a health coach doing Facebook ads, and then when I started, and I just kind of like knew that Facebook ads would be really helpful. So I put the time and money into learning them. And then that's when I did really well. And then when I wanted to outsource it is when it really all came together. Like, oh yeah, I do know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I love that you're saying that. I find that a lot of the time, even with my own clients and with myself, like there's been times that I've doubted my capacity, my ability to do something. I hired someone and I'm like, hold on. I'm going to have to start telling you some of the tricks that I use So I'm so glad that just by the trial and error, you were able to even get more confident about your own ability.
Yeah. And I don't think that there was anything wrong with him, right? I think there's a few key things that I think help me to do exceptionally better than him at Facebook ads. And one of the key things is only I know my audience, right? And so when he took over writing the copy, when he took over targeting, it was like, but he's only studied my audience for like not even a month compared to I had been studying him at that point for like 2 years. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
There are some things that you do know that you don't give yourself enough credit for. And when you are outsourcing, it's really important that all of that is crystal clear to you and to the person and that they get it, right? Mm-hmm. That they get your audience. I don't want to like fault anyone or say like, oh, he was a bad, person at Facebook ads, but in reality, there are things that only you know the best. And like, those are things like your audience and who you're trying to get.
There you go. And that's what I want to highlight. The fact that you actually had so much more of the knowledge than probably. And why did you hire him? Or you just trying to like outsource to be able to create some freedom for yourself? Like, what was the reason behind
So I had hired him because I was doing a bigger launch than I had ever done. And so my Facebook ads budget was about $1,500. Like it was like $1,000 to $1,500. So managing that much of the Facebook ads budget plus running the launch, and if anyone's watching and you've done a launch, there's a lot to manage. And so if you can get something off your plate, it can be a big difference. And so I was doing all the copy for pre, post, and the actual webinar and presenting it. And so it was just going bigger. So I thought because the budget was going to be higher, I didn't want to be tied down to the minutia details of that. Mm-hmm. Where instead I wanted space and focus on how I was going to handle objections, what I was going to write in the follow-up email. Mm-hmm. Like I am not at the position right now to hire a copywriter to write all of these emails for me.
Yeah.
And so between a copywriter and a Facebook ads person, like a Facebook ads person was more doable. So that was my decision.
That's your thought. Yeah. Cool. So let me ask you a little bit about you. As we're going to dive more into like the tips and the questions and all of that. But can you tell me, where are you from originally and where do you live now?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Venezuela.
Woohoo!
Yeah. I lived in like New York area for a very long time. Like mostly I grew up over there. Mm-hmm. And like Buffalo. So I don't want to like confuse anyone, not like New York City, Buffalo. Yeah. And we moved down to South Texas about 3 years ago now.
Cool.
So that's where we live now.
Yeah. And I know you have kids. What ages are they?
So right now they're 1.5, almost 2 and 3.
That's so awesome.
They're 16 months apart. And so that's kind of how I got started with, not like started, but how I like got really serious. Cause I had a great job. Like in my corporate field, I was working in administration at a hospital. I had a cushy job for a nurse. Like, I mean, that's a good job. Like people would always say like, you get to wear regular clothes. Like that's a great job. And you get an office, like for a nurse, that's a really good job. Yeah. But I had to really take it seriously because my daughter was born in preemie. She was 2 pounds and was in the hospital for over 2 months. So having that experience, I was literally just building my business out of the pump room at the hospital, like breastfeeding.
Wow.
So
wow. So what were some of the obstacles that you experienced when you were first starting and just growing your business to where it is today?
And I think this is still an obstacle. It's like really finding the time between, and I don't want to say like there's just not enough time. There is enough time, but there are decisions you have to make like as a mom. Mm-hmm. So making decisions about like, it's okay if I'm in full launch mode and I need to get the nanny for more hours that week, and being okay with that. For me, that's been the hardest part because I want to do everything. I want to be with my kids all the time. I also, and don't get me wrong, I love my me time too. Yeah. I said, I'm an INTJ, so like I could be happy in a book somewhere. But like that whole, like I hate to call it balance, but the balancing act of reality of life, and that's still a challenge for me because I'm really driven. So I want to do everything. And so it's really about managing my expectations about what's realistic, like what can I actually do and still feel good about it without feeling guilty.
I love that. I've been reading this book and it's been really helping me. It's by Mel Robbins. I don't know if you've ever heard of her. She's a success coach. One of the things she talks about, it's about having a quit time. So in my case, a lot of the time my clients, I'm doing a lot of the coaching sessions at the end of the day when my clients are coming off work and stuff, but figuring out what times I would dedicate to the business versus my kids and myself, that has been a tremendous help for me. Do you see that in your own life?
Yeah, yes. And setting those boundaries was huge. About mid-year last year, I had to set some serious boundaries with that too, because I was coaching. And I think that was around the time that I was like, okay, something's got to give. I have to sell some digital products here. Because I was just like coaching until 11 o'clock every night and just not having any boundaries with my clients. So that, you talk a lot about getting clients, which is awesome, but there is a thing you have to do when you get clients, and that is set boundaries and stand up for yourself and do it, like you said, with the time that you put there, not on everybody else's schedule.
Yeah.
And so that was a big one for me. And also, yeah, I totally agree with you. It's hard because it's like you said, those difficult conversations, the daily decisions of everyday life.
Yeah. And being fair to you, we share that we're both very driven. So I was like, this is the goal, I'm going. So I'm taking care of everybody else and I wasn't taking care of me. So even setting which days I was going to do what, just so that I could protect my energy. You know what I mean? So, and I know that you do some of that as well. So that's awesome. Can we talk a little bit more about, I love the way that you are engaging in your Facebook groups. I love how giving you are, and I love how you provide structure. Whenever you're sharing your content, is not just fence for yourself. People can actually take steps on it. So can you tell me a little bit more about how do you go about creating your content and just doing some of the organic things before we dive more into some of the Facebook ads?
Totally. So one of the main things that I do for my organic stuff and for structuring my content is I do it all based on a central theme, so that we're not diverting too much away from that message that we're really trying to drive home. And I think that's what you're talking about, because I think one of the first times we talked, I told you about how I just kind of rotate my podcast interviews. Yeah. So what I do is I create one central piece of content, and then I break it up into posts that are really actionable. And that's pretty much my free content strategy. It's really, you can get as fancy with it as you like. I have a podcast, and so on my podcast, I'll record either a solo show or an interview, and then the clips from it will become little videos, or I'll take quotes from it and then elaborate on it and put more context into them. And I really just kind of like to use a really strong idea, really strong breakthrough moment that we had on the podcast, and really blow that up. So that's really my strategy for that.
I love it. And how do you do then whenever if you're talking, since a lot of our audience are women that are looking to get booked, they're looking to hit that first 5-10K months. If you're talking to them directly, then what is like one tip that you would give them as they're looking to get clients and as they're organizing their content and their engagement on Facebook groups? What would be your top tip for them?
I think the top tip is like, don't reinvent the wheel. Like, make sure that one idea has gone through the course of really getting that message out there. It will help your audience to take action and to get results from your free content, and also will save you so much time, like, and headache.
Yes. Yeah. I remember that there was one time we were talking, and I love that you were sharing how when you started getting clear about like tracking the results you were getting from a post, even with what you're saying, how a lot of things change. Like, instead of like going wider and talking about everything, which is something that I love, like you started getting more specific about the things that your people were actually engaging and talking about.
Yeah, that goes back to our huge spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And by the way, like, if this is not your thing and it's not something I do personally, I have my VA take all that data in.
Mm-hmm.
So you can hire somebody for like, you know, really, really small amount of money a week to just kind of get all that data for you. Mm-hmm. But don't, you know, like, see what's working and do more of that. Yeah. So example, I had a Facebook post that did well. I turned it into a blog post. Like, this was, by the way, the evolution of my first course. So it did well. I turned it into a blog post. I turned it into a challenge. The challenge did really well. I increased I did a different take on the same topic in that challenge again. And then I kept reiterating instead of recreating. Instead of coming up with 20 different challenges, although I did do that in the first one. I came up with way too many challenges. But one thing that I did right, one thing that I did super right was the evolution of this, which became my first course. And that I was able to already take existing content that I had to promote that and put it on Evergreen on Facebook ads, and it became my course.
Brilliant.
So, yeah. So not like, and that's what I mean, like, don't recreate the wheel. And I mean that in every capacity, from like what you're talking about on your podcast or your blog, turn those into Facebook posts, but even further, like, what is working, that is your course. Not like, this idea over here seems really cool, let me do a course on it. That might work, but 9 times out of 10, you're going to be guessing the wrong thing. Whereas if you use the data, and I hate to if you use data, you're always going to be right. And how do you know that? Because you put 200 Facebook posts out and only 2 are going to do really great. So it is the same thing. It's only just doing it a little different.
Truth bomb. I don't know what else to say. All right. So what is a mistake or like something you see a lot of entrepreneurs doing when they're trying to get booked, to grow their business, and to hit that first 5-10K month?
I think the number one mistake is thinking that it's an online business and not getting people on the phone. If we're talking about getting clients, you have to still get people on the phone. And Pachi is like a queen at this, so like, listen to everything she says. But there's not a difference if it's online or in person or at a store. Like, you have to talk to real people, and ultimately that's how sales are closed, is through the relationship. Amen,
sister. One of the things that I see a lot, I was talking with one of my clients, it's how, and it's everyone has a solution to help you grow your business, right? So people are really good. The better that you are marketing that solution, the more loud people can hear. But there's like this misconception that having all the systems in place, so like spending all this time on the website, spending all this time in this back end stuff, it's what brings clients rather than talking with them first. And I know that in your case, you even say like some of the clients, I think you said that like some of the clients that were into your health coaching stuff were the ones that started asking you, how are you doing what you're doing and how can I do it? So like you progressed as you focus on that ideal client. Can you talk a little bit more about like your own evolution and how you have allowed yourself? I'm asking you like all these cool questions as I know.
I just really like let myself shift and evolve. And I think also being really honest with myself about what I truly want. Because here's the thing, I was trained as an RN, like I'm a nurse, but that also is not the thing that I am best at, like given my strengths. I've said it a couple times. My personality is an INTJ. It's really rare. It's like 2% of the entire population. And
can you tell what that is? Just since you've mentioned it several times, I know what it is, but for the client, for people that might not know.
Yeah, it's the Myers-Briggs personality, and I can give you a link to how they can test it and actually see their percentages. It's the best test out there. Yep. The 16 personalities is okay, but it's not as accurate.
Yep.
Yeah. So with the Myers-Briggs, like it was initially created years and years ago to help people find jobs.
Yeah.
And you know, you would take it, and I took it in undergrad or either undergrad or high school. I can't remember now, but I first took it a long time ago, and it had told me to go down a different career path that I completely ignored. It had told me to go down to be an anesthesiologist, and I had some interest in that at one point during my nursing career, and it seemed good because it was, you know, down to the nitty gritty. You're looking at data and stats. You're dealing with an intubated patient who is knocked out. And honestly, most of the jobs I did that was the case, it worked well for me because I could look at the numbers. And that sounds horrible as a coach.
But isn't it true? You were saving somebody's life because of your gifts.
Yeah. And so I think ultimately it's coming down to the fact that you have to know yourself, and you have to also admit when you are unhappy, when you are not feeling fulfilled. And then I think like have the introspection to really think like, why? Like, what about this is not fulfilling me 110%? And then like making a shift towards that. And towards that, I don't mean like from 0 to 1,000,000, because you might not have the confidence yet for that, right? Like when I started as a business coach for moms, I was like, I've built a health coaching business, but I'm not like, I've never had like a 7-figure business like some of the other people out here. And so like that was scary as heck.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I started with like the mom stuff and the productivity and the mom guilt that I was so rawly experiencing. And then I was like, okay, what else can I help them with? I'm like, I'm good at sales, like on a sales call. Let's talk about that, right? It was very much the evolution naturally and staying really, really authentic and genuine, because I think there is nothing that will kill your confidence more than saying like, I will teach you to have a 7-figure business, and yet you've never done it. So I think when you stay, and I don't want to trigger anyone because I know that
this is so good.
They're triggering, but like when you ask yourself that honest question, like what have I done that I can teach somebody? And it might be like, okay, I know how to post on Facebook. That's it for now. And that's still good. There is still somebody out there who has no idea how to do that. So just progressing as you go along and like staying really honest with yourself.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
So let's move then into, if you had to start from 0, I love asking these questions. Like if you had to start from 0, what are 3 things that you would focus on to be able to grow your business to where it is?
Yeah. So I would focus on, number 1, I would first focus on getting people on the phone.
Yes.
And doing sales calls, and then I would generate revenue from one-on-one clients first. maybe later progress into other things, but first get people on the phone and get sales calls. And one of the strategies I would probably do to get people on the phone, especially in the beginning and getting my name out there, is I would probably run a challenge or webinar or some other event to increase signups onto my email list. And I would get that idea based on some posts I would have done. I'm not going to just randomly pick something. So I would say, okay, like what is doing well? And that would be my first challenge. Then I would take that challenge at the end, offer phone calls, get people on the phone and convert people to clients that way. What I would do with that challenge is turn that into my first course. And then I would launch and relaunch and relaunch and relaunch until I got that course to, passive, completely automated course. That's what I would do.
I could hug you right now. Yes, and yes.
I guess I have a third thing. I think the third thing I would do is just stay high vibe the whole time. So I would say just focus on staying down your lane, like not looking at what anyone else is doing and just like, how can I help these people? And really coming at it from like a place of service and from high vibe. So every day focus on staying positive and unfollowing a lot of people on Facebook.
You said it. Oh my God. And unsubscribing from that list.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so good. So my last question before you tell us a little bit about where can we find you and how can we connect with you? At what point would you then use Facebook ads?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And this is probably the biggest mistakes I see because I do consulting now for Facebook ads. I help other companies including small businesses, to run Facebook ads. So we need to have something to sell in order to run Facebook ads. Like the only goal of Facebook ads is to give Facebook $1 and get back at least $2. That is your number one goal. And so
love it.
The thing that Facebook will do is, and if you've ever posted on your Facebook business page, you'll see this. They'll say like, this post is doing great. Why don't you boost this? Or, come and do this over here. This video is really looking good. 900% of people boosted this video like this or something. So they're actually marketing to you. So I just want to call that out. Like they're marketing to you because it's in their benefit for you to spend money with them. But here's the thing. If what you're promoting, if what you're boosting does not lead to dollar signs in your bank account, you are just burning money. So what we do is set up a funnel, which is a fancy term of saying you need a way to get that money back. And I think like without getting too into funnels and all of that, we can just say, have a way to make that money back. And you don't need to necessarily sell right away. And actually that's probably not going to work anymore on Facebook. I mean, it used to work back in the day when there wasn't as much competition. But right now, what is working is a nurturing process. So warming them up, them getting to know you, them getting to trust you, and then you offer the sale. But at the end of the day, you're still promoting something that will lead to a sale.
Yes. And would you recommend for that to be after they have gotten their first few clients or they've tested that like with the organic process? Like, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, how I like to test a funnel to make sure it's working is first through warm traffic, a live launch. So we would launch, like I said, the challenge. You would launch the challenge live, and then you can take it and a few months later launch it again.
Yeah.
And then a few months later launch it again. And then the second and third launch, you'll have enough data to run Facebook ads profitably. Because there are certain numbers we're looking at with Facebook to make sure that you're going to get that money back.
I love it. So if women want to get more support from you, if they want to join your community, can you tell us where can we find you?
Yeah, you can find me at MarianaCRuiz.com. And my podcast is The Impact Driven Entrepreneur, with which Pachi's going to be on too very soon.
Yeah.
And my community is called The Impact Driven Entrepreneur.
Awesome. Mariana, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us and for sharing so many great tips. Ladies, we want to leave you with an actual action. So one of the things that I want to recommend for you is to look at what Mariana was just talking about. What is your strategy and what things are working from what you're already doing? But then looking at how can you create that process to lead that person into that nurturing relationship with you before you're selling, before you are asking them for the dollar, and before you're investing in the Facebook ads without trying and testing your stuff. So Mariana, thank you so much for being with us today.
You're welcome.
Bye, ladies. Have a good day.